Welcome to the Ops Experts Club. If you're at all interested in anything we talk about here in this episode, go ahead and check out the description down below and click any of the links there. Or if you just want to know more about us, click the links below. Now on to the episode.
Ops Experts Club. Yeah. Terryn, not everybody knows this, but I know this, is that a lot of times when you're in your thinking mode and you're like going from screen to screen, you actually hum your favorite show tune. You know what I mean? Which could be really one of a couple. And it depends on how subconscious we are. If it's in your deep subconscious, I feel like it's either going to be Raiders of the Lost Ark, number one.
Happens.
Jurassic Park, number two. Are there
Also
any
happens.
other show tunes that sometimes you feel like you default to?
I don't think so.
No, those are good ones. And then sometimes when you're feeling really wild, you just start humming a tune none of us know. And it's pretty cool.
Yes.
So quirky facts about Terryn Turner that none of you wished you knew and now do know. So great to see you, Ops Experts. Terryn Turner, amazing to see you this fine day. How's the day been for you thus far?
It's been splendid. Thank you. How's your day been?
Dude, your matching game is strong today. I just want to say you got the gray hat on, kind of works with the gray pop in your sweatshirt. Awesome pleated, like button up sweater jacket. That's pretty awesome. Dude, and you can pop it like it's hot. Love it.
I popped it.
That's awesome. My day's good. You know, I have started at the beginning of the week doing what I call Taking Back Mondays, which is a throwback to the early 2000s pop wonder band called Taking Back Sundays, but I'm taking back Mondays because Mondays a lot of times start pretty stressful for me, you know? So we record the show on Mondays and I thought, you know what? I'm going to actually go out into the hills, like go up to the wild, get out into the pine and, just take some time thinking and putting together my week and putting together things I want to be thinking towards about the business, working on the business rather than in the business. And so it's taken my Mondays, which typically for years now have been super stressful and anxiety laden, dreading Sundays, dreading Monday.
Yeah.
It's actually changed my game, which I've really appreciated.
Wow. That's so great. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you, dude. Thank you. I figured, and we have this amazing business that serves all these clients. Like we're at like 31 clients right now, 19 different team members, and I'm going to still roll into Monday super. Why don't I take some time and like get my head on a little bit straighter? So only took me 11 years of owning a business, Terryn. Crazy.
It's never too late to learn.
Dude, you can always teach an old dog new tricks, Terryn. I don't care what they say. I'm going to be 51 this year, and I'm still learning new stuff. How about that? It's also going to be 12 years the Collab team's been around this March, which is pretty crazy. This March that we're in right now, apparently. This March that we're in, 12 years. Crazy.
March.
Terryn, it is March. As I just said, you never are supposed to talk about dates on podcasts because you want them to be timeless, but I just mentioned Monday and March. So like we're just breaking the rules. Let's talk about something that I think is very important as we wind up March, come into April when it comes to quarterly evals. Quarterly evaluations, Terryn. Tell me what you think about quarterly evaluations. Good idea, bad idea, something we do, something we don't do, something you recommend others do?
Yeah. Quarterly evals does not fit the theme of timeless because they are quarterly. You could do them anytime you want to, but we're just going to give you one example, and that's a quarterly eval.
Also true.
Are they good? When is it not a good idea to eval?
That's what I feel like.
So they're very important. Obviously, you want to be hiring the right people. You want to make sure they're doing the right job.
Yeah.
And you might have thought one thing when you hired them, but you got to check back in with them over time to see how they're progressing. People change. We grow. Sometimes we do the opposite of grow, which is shrink. Unfortunately, it happens. You can get comfortable, complacent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Aaron knows about shrinking.
Dude, I haven't experienced it yet, but I hear it's coming. I love it.
I
think I've gotten a little taller. I mean, that's just me. I mean, maybe not, but I think I have. So that's the thing.
Well, the new glass has definitely increased your posture.
Right. I've been noticing that. I've been trying to stand up a little straighter too. Yeah. Terryn, what are the evals? EOS has a great system. EOS is Entrepreneurial Operating System by Gino Wickman, the book Traction. EOS has a system they use for quarterly evals that I think is pretty awesome. The thing I like about it, it's called a 5-5-5. The thing I like about it is, and you can find that online, or I think it'd be a great thing for us to give to people too, Terryn. I think that would be a nice gift for us to give. So maybe I'll give you a little incentive towards the end of the show on evals. So we'll talk about that in a second. But the thing I like about EOS's quarterly eval system is super simple, right? Like it's not 4 pages long. I know when I worked at the credit union, when I ran project management before I started the Collab team, we did evals every year. And it was like this super long form that I had to fill out, and I had to self eval, and then my boss had to eval me. And then it was like, depending on what they came up with, it was very cryptic on, so did I get a good score? Did I not get a good score? What does that mean for my pay? And so I think that the great thing about a quarterly eval system is you're checking in with your people on a quarterly basis so that when you come to an annual evaluation, it makes it very straightforward on how they've been performing to know, are they in fact going to get a raise this year? Are they not going to get a raise? And we've been having very honest conversations with them all the way through because the 555 is very conversational.
Yeah, it's great. And I've been on the giving end and the receiving end. Aaron, I don't know if you've received one in a long time. Have you?
I have not received one in a heck of a long time. I should let you just, but I will say this, there is a part of the 555 where everybody evals me, right? Because whoever's
Right.
giving the 555 gets to vote me off the island. They can tell me how I'm lining up with the ethos, which I think is
That's true. And that's another great point about it is if you've got some confident people and you're confident in yourself and you guys are open and honest, you can receive feedback from people you're evaluating too in a constructive way, or just in a really jerky way, as some people like to do. But either way, it's a good back and forth.
I love it. So typically the whole idea of a 555, what that means is EOS would say there should be 3 to 5 ethos, or we call them ethos, but essentially whatever it is that makes up the core of your business by way of core values, right? So 3 to 5 core values, 3 to 5 key roles that every role should have in the organization, and then 3 to 5 rocks that should be assigned to every person within the org. So what that means is it's a 555. We're going to come to these quarterly evals and we're going to say, hey, how does each individual line up with the 3 to 5 core virtues, right? That we call it the ethos at the Collab team. And then we're going to go for, and that's where we just talked about, they can rate me and I rate them, right? They rate me, I rate them on how are we stacking up. For me personally, I'll actually read through the ethos, every single 555 with every single person I do it with, so that the ethos doesn't just become a static document, something that we just talk about. It's on the wall, maybe it's on a plaque, maybe it's on our website, but nobody knows what it is. This way, something we're reviewing every quarter with every person. These are the things that are important to us. And then how does that person that's being evaluated line up with the core ethos? And then how does the evaluator line up? Terryn, let's maybe break down each part of the 555 a little bit. So what do you think about ethos, Terryn? What do you think about having 3 to 5 like core virtues, core things that your business should be built on?
Oh, I think it's absolute necessary.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you don't really know what you're getting into if there's no core values or ethos or, guiding values or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
Before you know it, you can be in the middle of something you didn't even expect.
I think a lot of businesses are like that, right? They started doing something. It started with an entrepreneur, right? The entrepreneur had an idea. He was probably a solopreneur just doing it for himself. What the heck does he need an ethos for? Like he just came up with a new shtick. He just came up with a new product. He just came up with a new service, whatever it was she came up with, like to get it out there. And then it really starts taking off, right? So then as it takes off, you're like, oh my gosh, I need help. So then you pull in your whatever it takes, right? Like all your folks that like your mother, son, brother, whatever it is, that your best friends, your nephew, whatever it takes to get this thing under control. But before you know it, you have 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 people working for you. And then that's when it's like, oh man, we better determine what is it that we're all about here? Is it just about the product? Is it just about the services? Or is there something bigger that is a key differentiator that makes us different? And I think it's really important. And it's something that a lot of companies surprisingly have not fleshed out.
Yeah. And the other reason why you can get really confused there is everybody you've hired up to that certain point has been filling a specific need. You hired an accountant because of money. You've hired a marketing person because you need to sell products. You hired a customer support person. So each of these people thinks that's the most important part of the business. Right. And none of them are thinking in tune together. They're all thinking, oh, it's all about the money. Oh, it's all about the marketing. It's all about the customer. Nobody's together. So you want to get your values out there. And we're going to rate our people on how well we think they are showcasing or
living up,
filtering everything through those values.
I think too, it makes a great thing. You brought up a great point with hiring. Like it draws people to you, right? Like I always suggest when you put out a job description, that you're going to hire based on. We do a ton of recruiting here at the Collab team, right? I think that we help people build out job descriptions all the time that we can post to LinkedIn, to Indeed, put out there on their social media to try and find their ideal next fit, whatever that role is. And I think if you start with your ethos, if you start with your 3 to 5 core virtues, whatever it is, however you're going to frame that up, it aligns the people with you, because there may be some things that people are like, that doesn't really resonate with me. So even though they may be great for the role, maybe they're not going to line up with something that's really core and important about your business. You don't want that person. And so it helps you kind of filter them out. So I'd say that's the first part. The second part is 3 to 5 key roles with the position. Terryn, let's talk about that one a little bit. KPIs, key performance indicators. We do a lot of that here at the Collab team as well.
Yes, this is a great chance to make sure they're in alignment with what they thought they were supposed to be doing, and you're in alignment with what you thought they were supposed to be doing, and everybody's in alignment with what the job description thought they were supposed to be doing.
Right.
So if it's your first one with them, it could be simple. It could be, yes, the job description. Okay, that's what you're doing. Perfect. That's it. But if you're doing it 2 quarters later, they might be like, well, I actually don't do any of those things anymore.
Right.
This isn't even my job. What's my
Right.
title now? So it's good for both of you, because the person who's experiencing the change in what they're doing, it's a great way for them to also have a platform and a place and a person to experience this and tell them and understand that they might be in a different position now without even realizing it. And then the person giving the evaluation might not have realized that either, because it just happened in little increments over time.
I definitely think that's so key. I can't tell you how many people we come in to help them kind of align their org chart, because a lot of times what comes out of it is a visionary will come to me, because almost everything we do is by word of mouth. So a different visionary has referred one of their pals to come talk to me, and we come to the table and they're like, I'm really frustrated with my people. And one of the first things I'll ask is, do you have job descriptions? And they'll say, yeah, we've got job descriptions, but they might need to be updated a little bit, right? That's like almost like pat every single one that I talk to. And that's also known as AKA people aren't living to their job descriptions, which means that's probably why you're most frustrated, because there's been a ton of scope creep for everybody, and we're not even really clear on who's doing what. And so that's when I'll always refer people, hey, why don't you try out the gap analyzer? Why don't we start there, and we'll take an inventory of what everybody's doing, and that'll tell us where there's overlaps on your team or where there's gaps on the team. And it also helps us to get really clear on, what is this person doing with their time? Does that match up to their job description? And then from there, once we've gotten clarity on that, what are the 3 to 5 key roles this person should be doing? And let's create some key performance indicators out of those 3 to 5 key roles, because the person wants to know they're doing a good job at their job, right? And you want to know they're freaking doing a good job at their job. You don't want that to be a gut check where it's like, Susie always drops the ball on this thing, but like, well, let's say she always drops the ball on that thing. Maybe you're completely right, Mr. Visionary, Miss Visionary. Is that thing even part of her core responsibilities? Like, was that ever part of her job description? Or did we just put that assumption on Susie? She's still rowing madly over here trying to do her 3 to 5 that we gave to her. Plus, we've been stacking another 3 to 5 on her. So of course she's having failure. Of course we're experiencing breakdown, and she's probably a really good employee. We just need to really slim down, what are the expectations there?
Yep.
And that's the great place to talk about them, right? Quarterly eval. Hey, Susie, how are we lining up with your job description? These are the 3 to 5 key performance indicators, the core roles to your position. Are these still the same 3 to 5? And she can say, yep, those are the same 3 to 5. Or she can say, no, there's actually another 3 to 5 I'd like to add in there. And then we have to go back to visionary and say, hey, what is it that we want Susie doing? Because she's got too many things. And this probably is a great think about hiring. So let's delegate and elevate, another tool that we talk about a lot here on the store.
Wow. On the store.
On the store. Terryn, the final thing of the 555 that is indicating a 555 is 3 to 5 rocks. You want to talk to them about rocks?
Oh, we have talked about rocks probably at least 40 minutes this year. And it is great. I love rocks.
It's been a consistent landslide of rocks.
Yeah. Perfect rock time. So rocks are obviously, well, maybe not obviously, because when you think of rocks, you might think of the things on the ground or in a field or
Bon Jovi.
Rock Bon Jovi. Yep. He's a great rock. Rocks though are the projects that are moving everything forward, keeping everything going in the right direction towards your goals.
Yeah.
Your yearly goals, 3-year goals, 5-year goals, 10-year goals, all that. So the rocks are your specific job or part or play or milestone or project in this endeavor. And if you're not having L10 meetings to pull them from, then you're going to have to pull them from somewhere. You usually in your project management tool, somewhere else you got going on. If you got an L10 meeting for your team already, you just pull it right from there and say, Susie's working on three rocks. Let's paste them in. How'd you do? Were you on track? Were you on time? Was it completed?
Yeah.
Gotta go.
And that really, I mean, it's the ultimate of, we just finished a quarter, Susie. I love whoever Susie is, man. She's getting the shaft today. So we just finished the quarter, Susie. How'd you line up with your rocks? She had milestones to keep her on course to make sure those big projects were done. EOS would say everyone should have 3 to 5 rocks that they're responsible for, that they have to answer for at the end of a quarter. How did you do on those? And as you go through those 3 areas, right, we talked about the ethos, we talked about their KPIs, we're now talking about big projects that they had to have done by end of a quarter. It starts to paint a very clear picture for you of how is Susie lining up in her role. And if every quarter we're doing, we have 4 of those before we come to the end of the year, like what should the end of the year look like for Susie? If she's been sucking it up, like if she hasn't finished her rocks all 4 quarters, if she isn't lining up with the ethos, like EOS is pretty particular on either you're living to the ethos, you're not living to the ethos, or you're somewhere in between. And somewhere in between and not living to the ethos, you can only get 2 of those, 2 quarters of those before EOS would say you're probably not the right fit for this role, right? You're not a right fit for this place. So it gets really, really clear. And then the thing that I love most about the 5-5-5 model, though, T, is the part right after that. And it's conversational, right? We start having conversations about done well and things that are working and things that are not working, right? And so both people get an opportunity to talk. You want to talk about that just for a minute?
Yeah, I mean, it's as you said, what's done well, what's working, what's not working, what can be improved. And yeah, so you can rate each other too, like you're saying.
Yeah.
You can say what's going well with me. I can include you in my going well. I don't have to. What's not going well, it could be specific roles in your job. So I always use it as an opportunity to talk about how I learned about something I do not like doing.
Yep.
And it's fine if you don't like doing something, and nobody's going to know that unless you ever say it.
Yep.
And you might not ever know you don't like doing it until you try at some point.
Yep.
And at some point, somebody puts something on your plate and you try and you're like, oh, turns out I don't like doing this.
Yeah.
So
that's
or
good.
You can say what you do like doing. But yeah, it's a great spot.
I love it because it is very conversational. The 5-5-5 format is all very conversational. It takes about a half hour, 20 minutes to a half hour, I would say, to go through the whole thing. And the thing I love about this part of it, where you're like, hey, what's working, not working? You let the person you're evaluating talk first, right? Hey, you tell me what's working. Awesome. Now I'll tell you what I think is working. Okay, now you tell me what you don't think is working. And then that's where I get to lean in if I do want to offer some critique. I do want to offer some even discipline where I'm like, hey, so I have concerns about this, this, and this. But you've had this whole conversational piece all the way up to the point where you're able to come to that at the end, and hopefully you've been able to affirm them, tell them the value you see in them, so that when you deliver some of the harder news, it's not just like the whole reason we're getting on this eval is for me to cut you down. And I think some people come to evals like with that in mind as leaders, like, yeah, man, it's not going to be a fun eval for this person. No, an eval should be something where we're like the word discipline, like I was thinking about today, like disciple and discipline is all in the same word. I mean, like I want to build into people. I want them to be discipled, if you would, in whatever this thing is that I'm leading them in as a company, but also discipline's in there too. And discipline doesn't have to be a bad word. It doesn't have to be a harsh word. You don't have to get on there and yell and scream at people and make them feel small. It's like, no. I want personal discipline in my life to be a healthier human, to lift weights, to be stronger. I need that pressure. I need that resistance to make me a better person. It builds character. And I think that coming to a 5-5-5 with that in mind of, hey, this person's valuable to me. There's a high ROI on this person because I've invested a lot of money into this person to bring him into the team. Let's therefore culture this. Let's make sure the ground is fertile enough for them to grow, which means that there is going to be sometimes they get pruned back a little bit and sometimes that they're going to flourish. So I think that 5-5-5s are a great thing, Terryn. I think it would be a great thing for us to offer to our listeners to maybe just give them our 5-5-5 template. And so if you go to evals with the plural, evals, EVALS opsexpertsacademy.com, you can go ahead and download the template that we use for every one of our 5-5-5s. Hopefully it'll be an asset to you. We'll give you a little tutorial video on how to use it. So if you're thinking, man, that sounds like a really good idea, Aaron, could you just give me something plug and play? Dude, Shazam! Your wish is my command.
Plug and play.
We'll get that over.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, Terryn Turner, this has been an amazing episode talking about quarterly evals. Coming up here at the end of March, we'll do ours that month of April, right? I'll always do them the next month after the quarter concludes. So you're not behind the April. Get ready for it. Listen to the show. Check out the free tool, evals.opsexpertsacademy.com. And we'll see you guys next week here on Ops Experts Club.
Awesome. Bye.
See ya.